Thanks for watching Bird's Eye View. Remember to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Tommy is back with us, and we're going to preview the playoffs. The seedings are finally set. I don't think it's ever gone down to the last day like this for what felt like, I think it was like every spot except for two were set.
A lot of drama the last couple days.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good. We're taping this Friday, the 12th. Game start the 14th. So it'd be fun to just kind of run through each of the series. Get some of your X factors, thing to watch, everything like that. Let's start with the only one we knew that was set earlier in the week, which was Phoenix Liberty. Phoenix is 2-1 in the season series. My first question for you on this is, how do you see the Liberty approaching the AT matchup, knowing what you know about how she's played this year?
Yeah. AT is somebody that I think is really going to expose you if you don't have a chance to game plan for her, because she does so much. It's really hard in the course of the regular season when you're only playing Phoenix every now and then to have like a full-on game plan. So I would imagine the Liberty are going to have something. I mean, I think the one thing that jumps out, it's actually not just about AT, but really about their whole team. They thrive when they're able to run. They thrive. And I think, you mentioned the season series. One stat that jumped out just when I took like a quick look before we recorded, Phoenix has caused, I think it's like 17 and a half turnovers in their series with New York. So they've turned New York over a lot. I think the Liberty really have to focus on that, because you can't let Phoenix get out in transition. That's where AT thrives. That's where Sammy thrives. Like, that's where I think they get their juice from that. So it's definitely something I have my eye on.
Well, it's funny because we talked about this last week about just the obvious issue the Liberty have had is just getting everybody on the court at the same time and just getting their reps of having that. In theory, that's going to be the case starting this weekend. But even in the game they won, Sabrina had 29, Stewie didn't play. Do you think that those two things go hand in hand in terms of when they're trying to speed you up and kind of get you out of sync and you don't necessarily feel comfortable because you haven't played with the same group all year?
I actually think for the Liberty, it's going to have to be by committee. I don't think that they can have, like you're mentioning, Sabrina playing well in their win, having 29 points. Obviously, Stewie being injured for different games. I think JJ only played 2 of the 3 games. So I feel like all of that has to go out the window for the Liberty, and no one player can have too much pressure on themselves. No one player is going to win them that game. They're just not, that's not where any of them are individually. I don't think that's where they are as a team. They have to be like by committee. If you look up that box score at the end of a game and you see the Liberty have like 4, 5, 6 players in like low double figures, that's like a great night. And a win, that's a great night for them. Now if somebody breaks out, you take it. But I think that's probably how the Liberty have to approach it.
Do you look at Monique as an X factor for Phoenix?
Yeah. She's been their X factor pretty much the whole season, in a sense. I think she's a big reason why they've had success all along, but a really big reason why they had success early. I don't think anybody really knew who she was, didn't understand her game that well. That always happens when you have a newcomer who can kind of sneak up on you in a league where everybody generally knows each other really well. If you're this like unknown, you can really have impact early. And I think that's what got the Mercury off to such a great start, especially because they had a lot of injuries early, a lot of people in and out.
So my follow-up to that, because I assume the answer is going to be yes, was the rookie adjustment, which you've seen yourself and then you've seen with just teammates and opponents and everything like that. At that position in particular, heading into the stakes are just different. You're going to know, we talk about it all the time, but it's just playoff basketball is just different. And so, like, if you're talking to her right now, what's your advice in terms of managing that?
Man, I think I've kind of touched on it already, which is in regards to AT, which is when you get to the playoffs, yes, playoffs are different. They're more physical. Every possession, quite literally at times, can feel like the last. Like, that's how intense the intensity is going to turn up. So I'd talk about that. You would reference that the difference there. But the real difference is you are going to be game planned for. This isn't just like a Tuesday where maybe the other team is coming off, another road game and they just got there Monday night and they had one shoot around, one film session. And yeah, they have a game plan, but who knows how much. This is like you will be game planned for.
Yeah. They're not
Everything you
sneaking
do
up.
will be picked. No. Everything you do will be picked apart. Everything your team does will be picked apart. Things will be taken away. And I think that is where the mental aspect of all of it really kicks in. So I guess the advice I would give to a newcomer to all of this is just you have to have an open mind. It is not going to go the way if it goes the way you planned it, great. Like pat on your back, good job, move on to the next. It's probably not. You probably are going to have to do something you didn't expect
Yeah.
having to do.
Moving on to the next series we want to hit. Speaking of newcomers, Golden State, Minnesota. Objectively incredible, annual season for these guys, and their
Yes.
reward is playing a 34-10 team. Minnesota's first in offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, 3-0 in the season series. I guess my starting question on the series is, what do the Valkyries do to give themselves a chance?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. They're going up against Goliath. And, I think more than anything, when you look at Golden State, and you already said it, amazing season, so much to be proud of. I know that in their minds, they're not going to approach this series being, just happy to be there. So I'm really curious on what their coaching staff, what Natalie's going to have cooked up. Because I think this is the type of series, if I'm Golden State, I'm like, what kind of weird shit can I do? I'm not even joking. Like, am I doing a box and one? Am I playing zone? Am I pressing? Like, what do I have up my sleeve to just change things up? Because I think the reality is, Golden State's pretty good defensively. I think they're like fourth in net rating defensively, but
They're
their
third now.
offense.
I looked this up today. They just moved up to third this week.
Oh, they moved to third. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So they're third in offensive rating. I'm sorry, they're third in defensive rating.
Yeah.
But can they score enough to beat a team that you just said, who's like basically number one across the board and everything? I just don't know. So I think you have to try to make the game weird, make the game as ugly and weird, within reason, obviously, but just try to change it up. Try to make Minnesota, have to think about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the fun thing on a macro level. If you're watching this thing, it's what sports fans love. It's David versus Goliath, like you mentioned, and it starts to become a thing where when you have no expectations and you're playing with house money, if you can do that and you can start throwing them off, then
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's like they're fighting against themselves as much as they are you. And you start to just be like, you don't have any. You already have won by getting to this position. So you don't,
Yeah.
so there doesn't have to be a sense of like, oh, okay, it's almost like less about the matchups in the rest of these series. And it's more just like whatever we can do to kind of muck it up, is gonna, hopefully just throw them off their own game.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that Golden State has certainly proven is they know how to do that. Not necessarily the muck it up part, but they know how to beat top teams in the league. They
Yeah.
know how when they're overlooked, which by the way, I don't think the Minnesota Lynx are going to overlook anybody. They've been waiting to get back to the playoffs for literally a year, so
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but Golden State has shown. They've shown that they can play with any team in this league. Obviously, a series is a whole different ballgame. So we'll see what they got.
Before we move on to Atlanta, Indy, we should just acknowledge Fee is the first player in WNBA history to average 20 points a game at a 50, 40, 90 clip. Shout out to her.
Mhm.
It's pretty crazy. Mel and I were talking about this before we started taping. Does a stat like that, and we've talked about the MVP last week. We have a lot to get to, so we don't have to go into a big thing on it. But does a crazy stat like that affect your specific view on a thing like this, or is that just one data point in a series of many?
I think it's one data point, a series of many, but I think it's a pretty important data point. I think has a lot of weight to it. I don't think it's just like your run of the mill data point.
Yeah.
50, 40, 90 is insane. I mean, you already said it. Second player ever to do it. Last one to do it was Elena Deladon. But do you want to hear the crazy part? And this isn't me, making the case. I actually think when it comes to MVP, this is what it's going to come down to. Before I get to my crazy stat, this is what it's
Yeah.
going to come down to. The voters are either going to think missing 2 games was too much, or they're going to think Asia's like crazy run where she's in the last, don't quote me, but 15 or 16 games, averaging 27. I mean, her numbers are insane in this last part of the season. So some voters are going to think 10 games is too much to miss. Other voters are going to think Asia's run was too impressive not to pick, and vice versa, right? And that's really what it's going to come down to, because there's a lot of other things that just kind of equal themselves out. Of course, there's also the head-to-head matchup, which Asia won, her team won. That plays a role as well. But the crazy thing that I was just curious about when I was looking at Asia's numbers, Asia's basically Asia had a 50-40-85 season.
She was right.
Now, don't get me wrong. The delta between 85 and 90 is like not a lot, but also it's a lot. Like 5% free throw when you shoot that many, it's quite a bit. So it's not like she was right there, but she's kind of right there.
Yeah, she is kind of. I mean, the first 2 I think are the ones that matter a little more, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been wild if they had both gotten it.
Oh my God, that would have been crazy. But Nafisa, you know what? Ryan, I was actually talking to Ryan Rucco. I'm in Tokyo, by the way, for everyone listening. Therefore, like, what's today? What time is it?
Sue doesn't even know what time it is. Where she
I'm gonna get off this little riverside we're doing, and go to bed. That's what kind of time I'm on. But I was talking to Ryan, and he made this point where Nafisa plays in her last game. She has to make 2 3-pointers to get to 50-40-90. So the 40 was in question. She had to make 2, and she does. And Ryan was like, and then she shot 2 more. And he was like, I have so much respect for that. And I was like, so do I. Because this is a game that's meaningless. Like, the winner or the loss has literally no meaning. And she's already got the 50-40-90, and she shoots 2 more threes. I was like, respect. Because that just shows, though.
It's not padding.
To finish the conversation around the Minnesota Golden State series, I think that right there tells you exactly where they are. This is like eye on the prize. They don't give a shit about anything else.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, I would say, for everybody else. Fever Atlanta feels a little under the radar, I would say. Obviously, Caitlin's not playing. Atlanta, so much props to them. We obviously just did the episode with Ryan a couple weeks ago. Just been sort of consistently really good all year. Season series is 2-2. What do you sort of expect to see Sunday to start it off?
This series is interesting because it's 2 teams that, well, first of all, they met really early in the season, right?
Yeah, I think they played like 3 times in the first like 6 weeks or something. It was like they played twice right away.
Yeah, so they met really early. And I guess, okay, actually, the reason why this series is interesting is because these 2 teams haven't played each other. Like, these 2 teams haven't really played each other. Obviously, Indiana is the team that's been hit the absolute most by injury, so they feel totally different, but they've kind of found themselves a little bit. Then you have Atlanta. They've had the injury bug a little bit too. Not as much as Indiana, but you have a player like Jordan Canada, who's been out for a decent chunk of time and is now just back in the lineup. So it's not, you're not going to really base it off anything from the regular season. I think Atlanta, this is their series to lose and or to win. I think their guards are playing really well. Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, they've got size. But I don't know. Then to me, the Fever, what they're bringing is just like a grit. They're just gritty about it. They find ways to win. They find ways to stay in games. I don't know. It might come down to, can Aaliyah Boston kind of have an impact, not just in the paint, but the way she play makes against Atlanta's bigs.
The Fever also have a little bit of that Golden State thing now where it's like no one expects anything of them. So the pressure is all off. And and they got a lot of talent. So like when you have that, if you've that combination is not a fun team to play against. Where you have
and Kelsey Mitchell. You have a player like Kelsey Mitchell who can easily get 30, can just go off for 30. I mean, I think zoomed out this whole playoffs, when I was looking at the whole thing, it was just like, this might be the first time in WNBA history where, given how all the seedings finished, with the exception of Minnesota, they're a little bit of an outlier. It's like, does anyone really have an advantage over anyone? The game, like the amount of games that were different between, the number 2 team and the number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on is like minimal at best.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of right there. So I don't know. Do upsets happen? Maybe. I was even thinking of back to New York Phoenix for a second. New York, the defending champion, will have to win a game on the road in the first round in order to move on. That's crazy to think about.
Crazy.
So
We should
we're
shout
already off
out.
to a start.
Yeah, before we go to the last series, Alicia Gray, first guard in W history to win Player of the Month 3 times in a single season. I was surprised by that.
Really? How
That's
come?
good for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, just that it's never happened before, or
yeah,
just
just that it's never happened. I just figured that
yeah,
that would.
for
But
her.
shout out to her, great year. Um, last one I'm probably the most excited for. You may be as well, although it's complicated for you.
Yeah.
Aces Storm.
Yeah.
Aces 16 in a row coming in, second longest winning streak in W history. Have you ever seen anything like this going into the playoffs?
No. Nope.
So, okay, so do that
Nope. Nope.
2-1 season series Aces. There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of emotion. There's a lot of personal things in the series on both sides.
Uh-huh.
What do you think, just in general, knowing how hot they are, how hot Asia is, how locked in they are as a team? But then the Storm we're going to throw to an episode with Gabby Williams in a minute. Like the Storm are loaded themselves, and they're just another one where it's not a team that anybody wanted to really run into in September if they could help it. Where are you with this? Like, what do you expect in game 1, I guess?
Ay. Yeah, this I think has to be the series that everyone has circled. I mean, I already said it, right? It's like they've split in the regular season. Jewel Lloyd was a Seattle Storm member. She's now, she was traded to the Aces. That's a storyline. You've got the Aces on their incredible win streak. That's a storyline. Is Asia going to be MVP? That's a storyline. For the Storm, it's more of like a who's going to show up. It's a little bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You haven't really been able to pin them down, but that's scary. I think that's scary, especially given they have had success against the Aces.
Yeah.
The times that they've played well, honestly, this isn't specific to Las Vegas. The Seattle Storm play well when they shoot well. NECA, Skylar, Erica Wheeler, particularly those 3, when they shoot well from the outside, and Gabby, and Brittany Sykes. So the starting 5, when the top 6 players shoot well, they win games. It's like that simple. So can they find ways to create shots? That's really been kind of like the issue there. But I don't know. There is this weird thing I have happening in the back of my head, and this isn't, do I want the Seattle Storm to win? I'm going to want them to win for the rest of my life. This is no surprise to anybody. This has nothing to do with that. I'm just like, at some point, the Aces are going to lose.
This is my feeling. It's just a number.
Yeah,
It's an odds
it's a
thing. They're not going to win
yeah,
22 games in a row. Like they're going to lose.
right. It's like, especially in the playoffs. Like at some point in the regular season, had this streak happened early in the season, at some point they would lose, right? Like this just feels like the law of numbers in a sense, law of averages.
Yeah.
If they lose in this first series, if that streak breaks like immediately against the Storm and the Storm start getting confidence, now it's like, whoa, like that's kind of scary, I think, if you're the Aces taking. Actually, I'm thinking, if I'm a player and I've had this incredible win streak, am I nervous that law of numbers is going to catch up? Or am I like, no, there's a reason we won all those games and I'm feeling confident? Wow,
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
that makes total sense. The flip side of it would be if you were to, and this was obviously getting decided last night, what these matchups were going to be. There's a part of me, and you know this better than I, but there's a part of me of like, if this was like Aces Golden State first round, Aces Indy first round, whatever it is, you're like, okay, I could see there being, like Aces are going to be locked in. Sort of like you were saying about Minnesota, the Aces are like, this is the team that they probably wanted. on a individual level and on a personal level. And so it doesn't mean you're not going to have a bad shooting night or something isn't going to go wrong or whatever it is. That's just basketball. Like it is what it is. But at the same point, I think you kind of worry about that a little bit more when there's it's like a trap game. When there's a letdown of like, okay, we did this and then maybe we, took our foot off the gas a little bit. I think this is one where it's like they got their emotional matchup right away. And so
Yeah.
that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just makes it more interesting in a way because it's kind of like if it happens, it's not going to be because they're not focused.
I think what I'm thinking is more, how long can a streak really go in the WNBA? I guess we'll find out. I mean,
As long
honestly,
as it's
watch them go
18. Yeah.
watch
As long as
them
it's
run
18.
for
Yeah.
as long as 18, yeah. Watch them run through the playoffs undefeated, and this gets played over and over and over again. But but assuming the streak does get broken, I'm just like, if it's bound to get broken and it happens, and they happen to run up to a Seattle Store team where their Dr. Jekyll is there to play and not their
Yeah.
Mr. Hyde, now it's just like, oh, fuck. Because now a team has stolen one from you, and now it's going to go to game 3. And I feel like game 3s, anything can happen.
That's the
That's
thing.
that would be like my
Yeah.
fear if I'm the Aces. That'd be like what I'd be if I'm Becky Hammond. That's what I'm like worried about when I go to bed at night. But at the same time, there's a reason they've won all these games. They've found
Yeah.
something. They've found something, I think, collectively as a team. And let's be honest, they're a classic case. They are a classic case of stop judging new teams in the first 5 minutes of their season. Can we all just stop doing that? It takes time. It takes time. And stop comparing them to previous teams.
You're right, but it's not going to stop.
I know, but it's just
It's a good example. You could just be like, this is now your callback. Because next year there'll be another team that this happens with where there's big player movement and maybe they're not going to go on a 16-game winning streak to end the year, but like, just be like, give them till August to know. Like after the first year, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can make that calculation, but anything else? This is going to be a good weekend. This is a good grouping.
yeah. I'm definitely excited for the playoffs to start. Yeah, I'm going to be looking for a lot. I'm going to look for a lot of different things. I think this is when players have a chance. Players have a chance to like have big moments. That's what's so much fun about the playoffs.